and the camera operator dropped the Sony Venice camera on the ground and walked out on set.
The fear, it's there no matter what. Overcoming it is really where, you've got to like hit that stride.
It was just a phenomenal experience, man.
Well, of course. I mean, we were one of the first, or if not the first production up, feature film up in America during the pandemic.
Are we allowed to do this? Are we going to get in trouble? Are we going to get shut down? What's going on? Is someone going to get sick?
This is before there was a bubble. Like, we made a bubble.
And so I knew that I was in good hands.
And then what we did outside the bubble was we were driving test results from Northern California to LA, and then someone was driving them back the next day. That's how prehistoric this was.
I feel like Deon Taylor is this light within our industry, and he knows things that are going on that none of us know. And I feel safe following him because being on this set was profound.
Let's promise to be completely honest with one another.
We tell each other our most personal fears.
I'm Tyler Nichols with Joblo.com, and it's great to be sitting down with you today.
Tyler, what's going on, man?
I'm so pumped to talk to you because I saw the trailer for Fear. It looks awesome, looks really, really fun. And so, Deon, as a co-writer as well, I have to ask, were these generic fears that you came up with, or did you draw some inspiration from some of your own fears?
Absolutely not, man. I don't think anything in the film is, and I understand the question, generic. But no, man, this is, we made this film, T, in a moment where we was all very afraid, man. We were in a global pandemic, and this was the first movie that was shot during that time. And we were just saying earlier, at the moment, the CDC had no idea how to even construct or allow you to be making a movie. So Roxanne, our producing partner, ended up being on the phone for days with CDC, and we made a bubble. So this is before, Tyler, listen, this is before there was a bubble. Like, we made a bubble. And then what we did outside the bubble was we were driving test results from Northern California to LA, and then someone was driving them back the next day. That's how prehistoric this was. So when we were shooting the movie, we were very afraid, man. We were very scared. And what's really great about the film is now you watch it, and as a filmmaker, I'm going like, oh man, Deon, this is exactly what you wanted, which was, I wanted to make a film that was a slice and a moment of time that we lived in. And when you see the film, you would be like, yo, damn, I know this. I lived it. Like, I lived in a moment where someone would sneeze or cough and everyone goes, you know what I mean? So it's just dealing with that, man. And when we talk about it, and I don't want to be long-winded, I just want to say this to you, man, because it's so important. What is fear? And how powerful the human mind is. And Batch is a prime example of the power of manifestation. I am the example of the power of manifestation. The mind is the most powerful and scariest thing we have on this planet. It could either allow you to fly, create, build, become a pro, become rich, famous. It can do all of those things for you. Or it can decapitate you, kill you, metaphysically and physically. That same mind. So what the movie deals with is your conscious and your mind and what it can allow you to do.
My biggest fear is drowning.
Claustrophobia, small, confined spaces.
It's something about blood.
My biggest fear is losing you.
Bullshit.
Andrew, did you have any difficulty in filming your character's worst fear? Because I can only imagine putting yourself in those shoes.
Yeah, we were dealing with so many elements. Like Deon just said, we were dealing with the pandemic just starting. The first film, are we allowed to do this? Are we going to get in trouble? Are we going to get shut down? What's going on? Is someone going to get sick? So all these things are going through our mind, and I remember there was a time we were filming a scene, and Deon had to pull me aside and say, yo, we did all this. It's time for you to tap in. It's time for you to, all that training you did and all the acting schools, it's the moment is now. You got to give it your all. You got to commit. And yeah, it felt like, you know, back in my sport days when I was doing track and field. It's like it's time to buckle up, settle in, and get down to business, you know.
Yeah. Well, and so the big question I have too is how on earth did you guys shoot this in 15 days? That is an insanely short time span.
That's
Deon?
Deon. That's Deon. He got it done for you.
Yeah, you know what, man? That's not always for me as the filmmaker that I am. I tell young filmmakers that that's not always the smartest thing to do. I've been doing this for 17 years like that because I've always been in a position where there's not enough time, there's not enough money. So I've become a very, very efficient filmmaker in short windows of time. And the way that I'm able to do that is I truly understand what I'm shooting when I'm shooting it. I don't have any time to guess or think about, I wonder if I did this, what would that look like? Like I'm literally going on set going, I know exactly what I need to get because I can see the movie. And that experience was really, really good for us in this environment because we were dealing with so many elements that could stop us at any moment. Sickness, CDC saying stop, you know, crew member not wanting to be there. We had a moment where, you know, we would all be masked up and it was a very, very scary time shooting this. And I remember we had this one scene at the fireplace where they all drink this wine and Batch threw up. And you know, we always like, oh man, like I remember I was like, damn, I was right behind the camera and I was like, oh man, I wonder if he's okay. My initial reaction was like, is he okay? And it was followed by boom, and we all looked and the camera operator dropped the Sony Venice camera on the ground and walked out on set. And we were like, hey, you all right, man? And he was like, how do we know we're not all sick now? Like, what do we, like, why would he throw? It was like a moment. And then I was like, man, this dude tripping. And then I looked and it was the rest of the camera operators and the other people that were holding, and they were like, are we gonna be sick? And that was the moment when I was like, yo, this is serious, man. You know, and we figured out how to get past that. And it was a moment that I talked to Batch, you know, Andrew, and I said, man, listen, I said, we got one opportunity to do this. And we've risked everything to be here. Literally, man. And I said, we have to deliver. And if we don't, we're a bunch of assholes and we're stupid. And now when I watch the movie, man, Chris Duskin, T.I., Joseph Sikora, Annie, you know, Tyler. I mean, I watched this movie now and I can't wait for you to see it, Tyler. Man, it is phenomenal. I'm really excited about it because it answers all the horror tropes that you want. It has all those things. But man, the performances and what it means and what it represents, and the end, the clarity at the end for you to go, oh, wow, I get it. I'm just excited about it, man, for real.
So Deon spoke at length about the difficulties of filming during the pandemic. So do you feel like this movie is a little more special due to the bubble that you guys had to be in on set? Annie, I'll start with you.
Hands down. Hands down, yes. I mean, to get us all together in the way that we were and still with that camaraderie when you're surrounded by, for lack of a better word, no pun intended, but fear, you know, and all of the weight of the world globally. Like it does make this extremely special. And we knew that when we were shooting it, I feel like, so we really all band together, you know, we became a family and in this bubble and this little nuclear family. And it was really a joy. So yeah, it's one of my most special projects, one of my special projects for sure.
And Joseph?
Yeah, well, of course. I mean, we were one of the first, or if not the first production up, feature film up in America during the pandemic. And that was taking Deon and Roxanne Event, his producing partner. they made up the guidelines and the stipulations and actually brought them, as I'm sure he told you, to the unions. And so the unions signed off on them and they said, okay, but now you got to get every single one of our members to say, yeah, we agree to this rule and that rule and this rule. So they were doing a little bit blindly in the dark. They got it all together. We didn't have one single positive COVID case in the entire film. That speaks volumes to our production team. So you got to give a lot of credit to the producers. But yeah, of course we knew we were doing something special, because who knew what the hell was going on outside? But we said, yeah, we still want to create and be artists.
And it's amazing that you guys were able to get so much accomplished in just 15 days as well. I was shocked to find out that it was such a short shooting schedule. Can you talk about just the difficulties of such a short shoot?
I was shocked just as much as you were finding out, like to see our day out of days, or there was it, and what we needed to capture, and the cast and the crew, and what we were up against too, and all the new COVID protocol and guidelines. But Deon and Roxanne and their team they run and gun and they get it, and like they'll go to every length to get the shot and to get performance, and also keep that camaraderie really, really high. I mean, you got Deon walking around with like a big speaker, and that just continues to keep the stamina going. So
he's a very infectious personality.
Yeah. So, those days were long, I guess, but they got shorter and they were really fun.
And Joseph, what about you?
Yeah, my gosh, of course, they were great. As you see, I had my cat there with me. We had long days, but they were great days. I had obviously done a film with Deon before, so I was used to that, running and gunning. And Deon never stays still. He had also just directed, I don't even know if he had directed the finale. No, he hadn't directed the finale of the Power Show yet. But again, Deon is a runner and gunner, and so I knew that I was in good hands. So we all had a great time. We all bonded as a cast. We all believed in each other as a cast and crew. It definitely felt like a family unit. So I know that the failure wasn't an option. We didn't have extra days. I think it was 15 days. It might have been 16 around there, whatever fudging that happened. Yeah. But that was it. Once we were gone, we were gone. Those reshoots had to happen a year later of anything that was reshot. And that had to be creative, because there was no reproductive reshooting. We were never going to be on that same set again. So we had to get the material that we got for the film, and we got it.
That's incredible. And so horror movies always come with a big lesson on life, and this one seems to have quite a few. And so I'm curious as to what are you most excited for audiences to take away from this film? Joseph, I'll start with you this time.
Well, that everybody has fears, and that we're all common in the transcendence of that emotion. But also, I think that maybe the lesson that Deon has entwined in the incredible entertainment that you're going to get is that there are physical manifestations and repercussions of your fear, that you have to get past that fear somehow, some way, because if you don't, that can literally mean death. That can mean your body going down. If I'm too scared to go outside, you turn into a hermit, you atrophy. So you have to exercise that fear, and that the opposite of fear is love.
Yeah, to echo that too of what Joe said, I think, and Deon and Roxanne represent this, which is just having the stamina or that strength to overcome whatever that obstacle or that fear is that's in your way. And they were huge role models for us in this film and since. But the fear, it's there no matter what. Overcoming it is really where, you've got to hit that stride. And we all kind of did that during this film. And I think that was the big takeaway too. I think that'll be the big takeaway from the audience as well.
Oh, awesome. I really can't wait to see it. Thank you so much for sitting down and chatting with me today.
What do you see? I see how I'm gonna die.
Let me out! Let me out! Let me out!
I know that this is one of the first productions during COVID. So T.I., what intrigued you most about joining this project?
To be honest with you, to remain a working actor in the height of the pandemic, this was the only production, you know what I mean, that I knew about. This was, when all agents and studio heads and directors were all like, we don't know what we're gonna do, nobody's filming. And Deon called I got a film. I got a film. We filming. And guess what? we're filming tomorrow. and it was just a phenomenal experience, man. Everybody was so happy to like really be around other people because, you know, people weren't kind of gathering and the world, you know, was seemingly shut down unless you lived in Atlanta. And we had an opportunity, man, to meet new people and work on a phenomenal project with a director, a producer, and a production house, a Hidden Empire, just with phenomenal vision. And, you know, before we knew it, it was time to go home.
Ruby, what about you?
You know, everything about this project made me want to work on it. Deon called me and was so loud and so excited and so happy. And the script hadn't been done yet, but he had a vision and it was impossible not to follow him. You know, I feel like Deon Taylor is this light within our industry and he knows things that are going on that none of us know. And I feel safe following him because being on this set was profound. I mean, and terrifying and hilarious. Like Tiff said, you know, we were coming out of something that was so terrifying and it was just such a celebration of life. And I'm really grateful for it.
So I guess that leads me into my next question because Deon spoke at length about the difficulties of filming during the pandemic. And so do you guys feel like this one is a little more special to you just because of the fact that you guys were in this together and in the bubble and were one of the first productions to do it? I'll do Ruby, you first this time.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, because we were in a time that we had never been in, right? We don't know how to react. This is such a degree of unknown. And then to come into something with such wonderful, profound, I'm sorry if I use that word already, but creating something together in a safe space, knowing what's going on, touching base on that within the film as well. I will hold it true to my heart for the rest of my life.
Such a difficult, unique, like a once in a lifetime moment that we got a chance to capture on film and share in that moment together. And I, you know, it's kind of like a capsule, you know what I mean? We really bonded different. And even when we see each other, you know, it's kind of like if you were somewhere with a group of people and you kind of experience an earthquake or blackout, or, you know what I mean? No matter where you go in the future, where you at and what you got going on, when you see those people, you have a fondness, you know? And I feel like that's what this cast is like. That's what this project is. And I think, you know, for the most part, that's what it represents. And, you know, I'm honored, privileged, and proud to be a part of it.
You feel that we're bonded for life, Tip? All of us? All of us.
Well, based on all the conversations I've had with you guys, that seems to be the through line, is that you guys have all bonded so much with this. So that alone, I feel like, makes me even more intrigued to see this one. And one last thing before I go, I do just have to say, Ruby, I am a massive fan of Happy Death Day. So I was so excited to get to talk to you. But then there was the news about Happy Death Day 2 not potentially happening. So I was like, oh no.
Well, I appreciate it. This is very different than Happy Death Day.
Yes.
I will tell you that.
Well, thank you very much. And I can't wait to see the movie. Thanks for talking with me today.